jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports, talking way too much, world come. Back sports,
Once again, you're tuned in to WCS. What's good, everyone? Happy Wednesday. You know how we do, man. Big shout out to the supporters, those who rock out with the channel, man. Hit the like button while you're in the building. And definitely, your participation is appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Your appreciation is appreciated. First and foremost, we getting some good news. I decided to kind of digress from the usual, media sparring that's going on YTC and talk about something different. You know what I'm saying? I can do that. I'm a chill off the regular topics of, Crawford Spence heavy and Javante Davis situation, Devin Haney, possibly not fighting Kambosos and all the other stuff that's going on. I'm going to talk about something that I like. I said it. I told you all. I said he would not leave the sport without coming back to the square, to the square, to the square, to the square. I told y'all. The information been put out there that the BronzeBomber, Bomb Squad, will potentially be back to face the one and only Robert Helenius. Now, of course, the news is out. It said Deontay Wilder fighting Robert Helenius in October, says Frank Warren. All right. It goes on to say former WBC heavyweight champion Wilder, 42 Rock'em Dynamite. You know what I'm saying? Victories, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 41 knockouts. And let it be known, those 2 losses is from the same fighter in Tyson Fury. No one else hasn't fought since losing to Tyson Fury by an 11th round knockout last year on October 9th. And that was a trilogy clash in Paradise, Nevada. It goes on to say that the 36-year-old Wilder coming back to face big punching Helenius, 31 victories, 3 defeats, 20 by way of knockout, could be asking for trouble because this is a formidable guy for him, especially with him coming off consecutive knockout defeats against Fury. All right. Of course, naturally, people will gravitate to say, yeah, he's coming off this knockout of Fury, and he's going in there with a tall, rangy guy like Robert Helenius. But the positive point of notice is that these 2 have sparred before. These 2 have definitely sparred before. You know what I'm saying? So, being that you've seen the thumbnail, right? I'm pretty sure I put the thumbnail up there. These 2 have sparred before. There was the picture in the thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? These 2 have been in the ring before outside of competing against one another. All right. Also, it goes on to say, and this is the article I'm reading for Boxing News 24/7. So, You know, you have to understand there's certain authors that's out here that's gonna praise Deontay, and there's certain that's gonna excoriate him. Okay. Wilder has been winless since his seventh round knockout of Luis Ortiz in November 2019. The Alabama native power still seemed the same, but his stamina has abandoned him since he bulked up from 219 to 238. That can happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it happened with Joshua when he came in against Carlos Takam at 254. It goes on to say Wilder doesn't seem to have figured out that he lacks the cardio to fight in the 230s. If the 6'7" Deontay gasses out against the big 6'6" Helenius, he will not last long because he's much bigger puncher than Fury. So they believe Robert Helenius is a much bigger puncher than Fury from knocking out the smaller Andy Konoski. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. I'm guessing. It goes on to say Helenius doesn't need to throw rabbit punches to the back of the opponent's heads to get him out of there. He got the power to take Wilder out with either hand, and he can do it cleanly and efficient. And the only reason I'm reading this article because it's one of the ones that's put out there, and it just goes to show you that there's still some individuals who are in control of being the author, but inside their articles, you can find out where it becomes a bit denigrating, and their interest is not to pretty much illuminate the best qualities of two fighters that stepping in the ring. I don't think this author, really is, writing a neutral article here. It seems like he's not a Deontay Wilder fan. You can tell. If Wilder poor, you using key words, right? He's using poor. If Wilder's poor stamina and chin, all of a sudden Wilder has a poor chin. He has a poor chin. Luis Ortiz for 41 seconds dropped bombs on Wilder. He didn't go down. You know what I'm saying? But you get people to think, what about Harry Schooner? Huh? Well, we're talking about top elite fighters that he stepped in there with. Top elite fighters. If he went down in the rematch and the trilogy by the same fighter, come on, stand on it and have some courage and integrity that this man is not just getting stuck like Anthony Joshua and falling all over the place. No, he was in there with an elite fighter. He was an elite fighter, and the best man was left standing. It said Wilder's poor stamina and chin holds up. He likely knock out Helenius without any problems. But he's looked bad in his recent fights against Tyson Fury. Deontay made Fury look a lot better than he is because those was winnable fights for him if he didn't gas out and if his punch resistance wasn't better. Deontay is fighting in October. He's coming back. And they're talking about him fighting Helenius. And that'll be in the States, said Frank Warren, to talk sport boxing about Deontay Wilder next fight. I love to do that fight. But Deontay, is coming off a bad knockout. There's no doubt about that was a bad knockout against Tyson Fury, who was a tough fight for him, say Warren. Helenius, check this out. Helenius looked devastating in his last two fights, destroying Adam Konoski by early knockouts. Helenius' power in those fights was extraordinary, and he had too much for the Polish heavyweight Konoski to live with him inside the ring. Helenius can be hurt, though, as we saw him losing to former world title challenger Gerald Washington by 8-round stoppage in July 2019, and Johann Duhaupas in 6-round knockout in April 2016. He also lost to Dillian White by a 12-round unanimous decision in 2017. And see, that's what I was getting at about these articles, people. Like, Deontay Wilder is coming back from fighting the best heavyweight 3 times, right? He lost. He was stopped. Yes. The rematch, he was stopped in the 7th. And then the trilogy in the 11th. But this guy has said so much stuff early in the fight because, like I said, we live in an era where the readers are skimmers. They read the first half and they pretty much going about their business. So his insertion, he's going to put this in the middle of the article and talk about how Helenius was stopped. I was waiting to see if he was going to even talk about it, but he talks about Gerald Washington. He talking about Johann Duhaupas. Like, look, when Deontay Wilder fought Johann Duhaupas, he had never been stopped, and Wilder stopped him. Yeah, the one that has the lack of boxing skills, right? He stopped him. And also, we know that Wilder, what? He stopped Gerald Washington too. But this writer would not include that in the early part of his article when he was talking about how somebody's chinny and he's this, he has that, this, that, and the other. You could have did the comparisons right in the beginning. Oh, they're common opponents. They have common opponents. Let's see if he talks about it. Moving on, Wilder should arguably be fighting former unified champion Andy Ruiz next, because that's a fight that will sell on Fox Sports PPV. The risk would be high for Wilder against Ruiz, but the payday would be tremendous. And the fight will attract more attention than for him to face heavyweight Helenius. So this the whole deal with trying to put him off on Andy Ruiz, because you built up Robert Helenius so much in the first semester of your article, right? Phase 1 of your article. You built him up so much that you shouldn't even brought Andy Ruiz into the equation. Because Andy Ruiz, unlike Wilder, he chose to quit in a rematch. He was the first Mexican heavyweight champion. He chose to quit, not come in. He chose to quit in training. He chose to not take it serious and come in conditioned to defend his titles. And those fighters were stripped in his first defense. They can't say that about Deontay Wilder, because he defended his title several times, and he went in there for his 11th defense and unsuccessful. But that was against, once again, the top heavyweight in the game. You had the top heavyweights, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, battling it out in a trilogy. So therefore, it's no comparison when it comes to Robert Helenius, who has been stopped by two different people. And those same two different people, Deontay Wilder was in the ring with and had better success than Robert Helenius. I'm just kicking the FACO. Facos. Okay? I'm just kicking the facos. Let me see who's in this chat, shawty. King Mitch on deck. What's good? D-Ray Promotions on deck. Salute to y'all that's in the chat. Andrew Charles, what's good? WCS salute. So this is what we're having. We're having the Bronze Bomber return back to the square, which is great news. And look, hopefully October and this trilogy has pretty much provided those individuals that were straight up Deontay Wilder haters. I hope you have somehow conformed and picked up a different type of behavior when you hear the name Bronze Bomber. You know what I'm saying? I hope it's a bit more peaceful. You know what I'm saying? You have serenity about yourself, because the man, if not in the process of him being active champion when he was proven to y'all, he is proven to step in there 3 times with a heavyweight champion in Tyson Fury, who is still not lost. He didn't give up his spot and say, you know what, if y'all want the trilogy, pay me step aside money and we solid. He didn't say that. He went to court, was successful with the arbitration, and he returned back to the square in October last year. He came up short and he went out on his shield, and that's pretty much how he would have had it, regardless of what anybody want to think. That's how he wanted it. That's how he wanted it to go out. So now you're talking about the heavyweight division. The spark has been somewhat smothered. It's not even enough spark when it comes to the heavyweight division to really smoke the place up. You know what I'm saying? To just put a little bit a flame up in there so we can have them embers. It's not even enough fire so that the embers can start precipitating down. You're just like, what the fuck is going on, man? Something's on fire. No, no. These are like those old little snapping pops that you used to take out. I used to take out as a kid. You throw them on the ground. They say pop, pop. You don't have to light them and then you just take them out. You throw them on the ground. They pop. That's the heavyweight division since Wilder left. It hasn't been that attention, whether it be positive or negative, that's placed on the heavyweight division when it came to Deontay Wilder. Now he's rolling back through, facing a tough opponent. Robert Helenius is gonna be tough. You know what I'm saying? They have history together. Like I said before, they sparred. They got their work in. They know each other. And a lot of us is curious on various things when it comes to Deontay Wilder. The man went through a trilogy, a gauntlet, where the last two fights of that trilogy, he did take extensive amount of damage. We want to know how he's going to look. Not from a visual perspective, from a performance perspective. We want to know how the BronzeBomber is going to look. All right? This is the first time he's going to return back to the ring after losing to Tyson Fury a second time. This is the first time. Furthermore, we want to know what weight he's going to come in at. Is Deontay Wilder going to come in at the 230s, or he going to go back down when he was killing motherfuckers? When he was coming in with the low, when he was in the mid-teens, you know what I'm saying? When he was light. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he felt some type of way about stepping in there with Fury in a rematch, being leaned on and everything else, that he had to, put some muscle on. He just went in there with a fighter who was smart enough to be able to drive that station wagon. Fury is a station wagon, y'all, a wood grain station wagon, like the old one. That was my first ever car that I got behind the wheel. I don't know what Pops was thinking. He bought Mom's a wood grain station wagon. That motherfucker was long as hell. It even had a compartment in the back where we were small enough we can lift the damn handle up, the lid, and we can hide in the back. That damn station wagon was so big. Mom came up to the school when I was in elementary, because like I told you, I was out in the streets early. But that's the first car I drove in the daytime. All right, the daytime. She came up to the school for a parents-teacher conference. And I'm sitting out there chilling. I'm bored. Back then, parents left the car unlocked, windows down. I'll be back. Stay right here. If you're not right here, you're getting a whooping. So I had a little bro with me. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He didn't know where I was. He was busy snoring and shit. I was in the street. I started up the car. I said, hey, you want to go for a ride, shawty? He looked at me like, huh? You know what I'm saying? You're too young to be driving. I was still in elementary, y'all. I started that motherfucker up, put it in drive. I'm cruising in the same neighborhood that I go to school. It's kids still walking home from school. I'm driving. I'm in elementary. They just seen me in school. And I'm rolling up the street, dog. And I'm driving this big ass station wagon, dog. Ugly as hell. But back then, hey, it is what it is. I'm driving that. I took that bitch all the way up the block, turned it around, and then drove back down the street cruising. And some of my classmates was like, you can see that look on their face. I'm telling my mom, oh my God, he's too young to be driving. When I got back down to the school, Mom was out there with her hands on the hips. What you think I did? I pulled the station wagon around. Mom will vouch for the no cap. I pulled the station wagon around where Mom was standing on the curve waiting for me. I put the car in park, and got in the back seat because I know I was done. She came to the car. She said, Scotty, what are you doing behind this car? Who taught you that? Who taught you that? I said, Mom, I just learned from seeing you drive. You put the handle on D for drive, and R and go backwards, and P if you wanted to stand still. Don't you ever get behind this car again. Don't do it. Anyway, you get the picture. It was hilarious, man. You know, in my elementary, I told y'all I had a growth spurt between 11 and 12 years old. So I was still in elementary when I turned 11, but yet I was 6 feet plus. I had a growth spurt. Don't ask me how, but on my grandma's side, you know, that's where the tall relatives came into play. So in elementary, I grew. But anyway, back to Tyson Fury having a station wagon type body. You know, Deontay Wilder thought he had to gain weight to handle that dirty, you know, tactics that Tyson Fury was putting out. So he came in, you know, he had to make adjustments and changes, bro, in fight camp. You know, the videos are leaked with him and Malik Scott, you know, training these combinations and working together and everything. And look, I was stoked, bro. I was like, hell yeah. You know, they making changes. Champ look good, looking shape. He done bulked up. They showed him, you know, lifting weights. Listen to me. Putting on muscle is different for everybody, bro. If people in boxing would understand that when it comes to physics, when it comes to individuals manipulating their physical anatomy with nutrition, supplements, physical activity, and all that stuff, everybody, you know, responds differently. Some people can put on muscle and they still get down, and you can't see the effects because it's how they put on muscle. In boxing, in the heavyweight division, you don't see a lot of heavyweights on the road pushing pavement. You don't see it. You don't see them doing what Floyd Mayweather did. Even though Floyd fought at lighter divisions, you just don't see it. I know Roy Jones has been on record as saying, like, hey, if I got to tell my fighters to do road work, then that's their problem. Because when I was coming up and when I was in the game fighting at the highest level, I didn't have to be told. I didn't have to be told to get on the road. I didn't. I went running. I knew what I had to do, and let's get it. But for Deontay, his cardio did suffer. You know what I'm saying? He looked debilitated a bit. He didn't look refreshed, you know, like he did in Luis Ortiz fight when he was hurt, and then he came back and dropped him again. Tyson was a different animal, bro. Tyson was a different animal. He's the station wagon of boxing. He's big, you know what I'm saying? A tank. You know, come in at the heavyweight and is still able to go in there and get the job done. He's that dude. So for me, seeing him fight Robert Helenius, of course, Robert Helenius I've seen him fight, and he does have height. Him and Deontay measure out pretty decent. Size for size, it's not that much of a disparity in between the two. Seriously, it's not. Andrew on deck. Let me see. No heated heavyweight right now. Them old station wagons had big old asses. Yeah, man. Retro for Life 79. What's good? What's good? Salute WCS. Salute to you. Fury can fight no matter what shape he's in. Yeah. Fury has the understanding within himself. He has that mental blade, man, that's very sharp. You know what I'm saying? He's able to be a freak of nature and fight the way he do, carrying around a heavy load. And I'm talking about a load that's not considered fitness orientated if you look at it. Like, he doesn't have a physique that you just look at and say, man, dude's in shape. Nah. He doesn't give you that. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury looked like if you roll up a piece of bread and run water over it, it get all soggy. That's how he looked. You know, he looked like a soggy piece of bread. You know what I'm saying? He looked like a goddamn uncooked hash brown. He looked bad, dog. You know, he looked like mashed potatoes. But when it comes down to it, he earned that WBC title. He got it done, especially in the trilogy. I don't know if him and Deontay Wilder will ever, become cordial. Even in retirement, when Deontay get older, being that I'm older than Deontay, that doesn't mean he's gonna have the maturity like Roy Jones and James Toney. You know what I'm saying? B-Hop. It doesn't mean he's gonna have it, or he might. The circumstances are a bit different when it comes to Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But staying on topic, I'm happy to hear that Wilder is returning back in October. He's going to bring some much needed interest back to the heavyweight division. And by that time, we should kind of have an understanding about Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. You know, we should have something. You know, he comes in here, and Deontay Wilder, he comes in here, he defeat Robert Helenius, which is a tough out. You know what I'm saying? A tough opponent. It's gonna really open up the door to who he's gonna fight next, because I don't think he's coming back for one fight and then he's gonna go back in retirement. I think he's gonna have several fights. He said he has unfinished business. So being that I always kept the same energy with Deontay Wilder, I knew he was coming back. When people was out here, trying to say that I was absolutely wrong, how do I know? I didn't have to know anything except within my heart that if a person who believed deeply about their roots, especially when it comes to Africa, and he's going on these excursions and he's trying to find out what tribe he belonged to and everything. When people do that, in my way of thinking, he's not going to allow Tyson Fury to be the determining factor for his retirement. He's not going to allow a person that he has absolute disdain for cheating in the rematch, for causing him bodily harm outside of the combat regulations. He's not going to allow him to be the last opponent on his resume that sends him to retirement. They say, that's it. I'm not coming back. I quit. The 2 losses on my resume, 2 straight losses came from Tyson Fury. I'm done. I'm cool. I made enough money. That's what I was trying to tell y'all. It didn't work. It's not about the money. Fuck all the money that he got. He's living good. But deep down inside, I just felt like the man himself stood for something more than just the money. He's good with that. He's lush. He's lush with it. He made a damn good living in boxing. Now he's saying, I got to come back and make some more money. But this time, I want to tighten up some shit on my resume. I want to tighten some things up. And if by chance the stars align, man, Deontay Wilder might be in the talks. If he get past Robert Helenius, he might be in the talks for Alexander Usyk or Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know that's a that's a huge objective to be thinking right now. Like to forecast something like that. That's huge. That's so far out. Man, I can't even find any way to, put a coordinates on it. It's so far out there. But he's fighting this year, and for 2023, his next opponent, if he's successful with Robert Helenius, he has options. One of those options that I know for sure won't be Tyson Fury. So it's either going to be Anthony Joshua or Alexander Usyk, in my opinion. But then again, we have to take in consideration that whoever wins those or keep those titles or win those titles, that boxing won't try to make an undisputed fight in the heavyweight division. And then this would be a swan song like no others. Wings spread it. If we have an undisputed title holder and Deontay Wilder gets his opportunity, whoever it may be, to fight for the undisputed titles. Now, of course, that is one of those damn, I don't know. Those is one of those stories that everything sounds great, but it's so far off the horizon that it's hard to imagine that, we get what we get this year, and then we fight for whoever it is win this year between Oleksandr Usyk and Joshua, and then they fight in the first semester of 2023 for undisputed, Tyson Fury against whoever, and then Deontay Wilder can come along and potentially fight for the undisputed titles against whoever that is. That means Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Oleksandr Usyk. I don't see him fighting Tyson Fury for the WBC title. But if by chance he's afforded the opportunity to split the ropes once again and fight for the undisputed titles, I don't think it matters who it is. I don't think it matters. We would like it to be somebody different than Tyson Fury. We would definitely like it to be Anthony Joshua. Definitely. We would like it to be Oleksandr Usyk. Fresh names, fresh faces. Jay Ocho on deck. What's good? What's good? Shelton on deck. What's good? October. Fight is in October. All right. And, of course, I would do my administrative logistics, and I'll drop the link in there to the article that I read. So that's the article, you know what I'm saying, that you all, if you choose to read the article on Deontay Wilder fighting Robert Helenius in October, say Frank Warren. There goes the link. All right. I like to see Wilder mix it up with some of the second tier guys. They need a shot. And maybe we see AJ in the future. But if not, I'm cool. Well, Robert Helenius is that second tier guy you're talking about. He has 2 wins over Andy Konoski via knockout. True enough. We don't need a common opponent for Deontay Wilder to be Andy Konoski that proves that he's relevant to step in the ring with Robert Helenius. We don't need that shit. Two common opponents that we see is Gerald Washington and Johan Duhaupas. 2 guys that Deontay Wilder dispersed of. But when it came to Robert Helenius, he had a tough time with those guys. I don't want to see Wilder Ortiz 3 under no circumstance even if he defeats Ruiz. Well, I look at it this way. It's not too many names that's going to bring attention. Like Deontay Wilder, man, he's fighting on the highest tier possible. Just like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder still has a high appraisal when it comes to the heavyweight boxing game. He stepped in there with Tyson Fury 3 times. He's still the top 2 heavyweight in the sport without a belt. Without a belt, he's still that guy. You can't remove him from that situation. He is the situation. Until he goes ahead and lose to another opponent outside the name Tyson Fury, he still has high appraisal, y'all. And furthermore, you have to look at Anthony Joshua. He stepped in there with a former unified. He lost to a different name, but he still has decent appraisal because Oleksandr Usyk was a former unified champion at cruiserweight. And you know what? He defeated Joshua. Now Joshua has to go in there and get his titles back. If he's able to be successful, I'm not sure he'll face Tyson Fury or not. I'm not sure. I'm not even going to sit up here and try to advocate for Joshua. That is not one of my priorities. I want the best man to win between them 2. I want them to fight for undisputed, and hopefully 360. Deontay Wilder can come back around and split the ropes and fight for undisputed titles. That's me. You know what I'm saying? Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. What's good? Say salute, Scotty. Salute to you there, OG. How you feeling? King Mitch Ortiz ain't beating Ruiz. I mean, you never know what happened, man. You know what I'm saying? Ortiz looking tremendous shape. I have to give him that. He looking tremendous shape, and we'll see how that plays out. We will see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, the Bronze Bomber, you know what I'm saying? He pretty much had the boxing masses, whether it was positive or negative, talking about him. Deontay Wilder was getting the same treatment they giving Terrence Crawford. Real talk. Everybody every week was saying something about Deontay Wilder, especially when it was heading into that rematch, especially during the rematch, after the rematch. Everybody was talking about him. And then from the rematch heading into the trilogy, everybody was talking about him. When that went away and all the haters got what they wanted in the rematch and then in the trilogy, I wasn't fun no more for him. They was like, oh God, what are we going to talk about right now? Wilder's not here. Oh shit, let's talk about Crawford. Man, shout out to Deontay, man. We're looking forward to the Bronze Bomber coming back and getting it in with Robert Helenius. Shout out to him. Let me move on to Tszyu. All right, the son of Costa Tszyu. Let's just go back in history a little bit because I do this. You know, his papa retired 31 victories, 2 defeats, and 25 knockouts. And yes, he has some big names on his resume like Ricky Hatton, you know, Zab Judah, Chumbe Mitchell twice, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Okay, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. He has a lot of individuals, man. Vince Phillips, who he lost to via TKO back in the day. If I'm not mistaken, I think Phillips, if I'm not mistaken, I seen the fight back then. That was the first person to hand him his loss. That was the first person to hand him his loss. And then Ricky Hatton, and at that time, Costa Tszyu was had 2 feet out the door retirement. You know, he retired in 11. Yeah, only 2 losses. But what I want to talk about is his son. You know what I'm saying? His son Tszyu. Tszyu, the first thing he had the audacity to do was say he want this fight to be in reflection of his dad and Zab Judah, Costa Tszyu and Zab Judah. Okay, let's get some things cleared up right quick. If we reflect back in 01, all right, when he fought Zab Judah, and we already know who the referee was in that fight because it was so controversial. Zab Judah had success with Costa Tszyu in the first round, dropped him, and then a couple of other Zab fights in his career, he was dropped and he was able to get back up and win the fight. Same thing happened in this fight. Now you take the referees' know-how and their experience, and they should have an understanding. Yes, they have an understanding when certain fighters come into the square. They have an understanding how tough they are and what punishment they've been subjected to, how durable they are. You can't tell me otherwise because when Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward fought, man, they know, oh, this is Arturo Gatti. He could take it. When it came to Needy, I'm gonna call him Needy because he needed some freaking forgiveness in this fight. Costa Tszyu landed a nice shot on Zab Judah in the second round. Dropped him. Zab Judah, being Zab Judah, attempted to stand up too quickly before his neurological functionality was stabilized. So therefore, his legs had a different communication process than his neurological. Neurologically, his brain was telling him to stand up. But the signal wasn't transferred quickly down his legs for it to stabilize and say, okay, all functions are stable. No, when it was in the process of trying to stabilize his functions. And this was like mere seconds. This is like seconds running out in the second round. Which, if you look at the fight, he didn't even get a full standing. You know what I'm saying? Jay Nady, whatever his name was, he didn't even give him his due diligence for a count. Maybe if Zab Judah would have just genuflect, remained poised, listened to the count, and then stood up, this might not be a fight that people love talking about in his career. Because one thing we know about Zab Judah, when he came back from those knockdowns, at that point in time, he had a history of finishing the fight strong. But he didn't get a count. There was no more time left. And Needy, he freaking stopped the fight. And I'm not going to go in detail, man. I got mad respect for Judah, you know what I'm saying, all them cats. But, Judah put that glove around Needy's neck. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's about. He put that glove. He said, "No, man, you didn't give me an opportunity." I can understand why Zab was so upset, because he felt, man, you an experienced referee. I've been in here before. I've been in this place before, and I rose up the fight on. You know that, but you stopped the fight early, bro. Even though Zab was fumbling around the ring, right? His legs weren't underneath him. None of that shit. Needy should have allowed that man to go into the third round. He didn't. He denied him the opportunity in waving off the fight. He should have afforded him that respect, being that he had been down before, rose off the canvas, and won the fight. He didn't. So, of course, Zab Judah, attempted to choke the referee. It was chaos in there. I mean, they was finding something heavy. But getting back to Tszyu, it's good that Tszyu has the boxing lineage that he does from his pops. All right? Tszyu has the boxing lineage, and he should thank God that he looks just like his dad, and he attempts to try to emulate what his dad was about. Now, it's taking him a little bit longer to get the respect that his dad had and build up the competition of the body of work that his pops had. You know what I'm saying? When I look at Tszyu, he has a lot of work to do. I'm not saying he's a punk. He's tough. Real talk. He's tough. I'm not saying he's a punk at anything when it comes to boxing, but he still has a ways to go when it comes down to it. So he's the WBO mandatory challenger right now. All right. He contends at the super welterweight division. He's hoping to get a date finalized for his opportunity to face undisputed champion, super welterweight, Charlo. All right. Not too many people are talking about this fight, but it's imminent. He's certified. Charlo is certified. He went back in there in the rematch and defeated Brian Castaño for the WBO title. He is certified undisputed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's certified. So check this out. He does an interview with Boxing Scene, and Tszyu says, "I'm sort of accepted this guy's just an angry man. He's like an old man who is grumpy and angry all the time," he told Fox Sports. That's his personality. He's going off at ESPN for not putting him in the pound for pound rankings. He's going off at reporters. He's just an angry man being emotional like that. It's not good to have in boxing. So if you can get under his skin, he's going to be rattled. I will have loved to have the fight at the new Sydney football stadium. But if it means I got to go to America to get this fight, I go there, no problem, Tszyu said. I like to fight him in Las Vegas. That's where the biggest boxing event have always been. Now, for Tszyu, of course you're not the A-side, shouty. So let's get that established right now. You're definitely not the A side, and you are absolutely the challenger. So if you are provided the opportunity coming off your okay performance against Terrell Goucher, and you think that saying Jamel Charlo, being that he's arguing or he's being a bit belligerent about not being on the pound for pound list, that shit is warranted. You would know that if you was to come close to being on the pound for pound list and basically have the hardware in your corner that Jamel Charlo has. You would feel some type of way also, my friend. You haven't been there just yet. So you don't get the sense of grumpiness looking on the pound for pound list as the undisputed titleist and saying, why? Daddy, Daddy, I did all I could do, Daddy. Why aren't they recognizing me for the pound for pound list, Daddy? Why can't I get the respect you did, Daddy? I feel bad. I'm quitting boxing. You know what I'm saying? That would be him crying on his father's shoulder. Father, I failed you. I failed you, Father. Please forgive me. I failed you. I won the titles, but still I feel empty. I'm telling you, Tim, you're talking about a man grumpy, and he has a legitimate argument as to why he's not on the pound for pound list. He has an authenticated argument. It's organic. It's reasonable. It's plausible. Everything about it. So if you're trying to say it's not good for boxing, what? So in the same article, you up here talking shit, but yet it's not okay for him to talk about something that's basically coincides with his performance, and he's understanding that he's not rewarded. Man, these fighters get punched in the head in sparring and in the fight. You know that because you're a fighter, but yet he's not supposed to go up here and debate and say, okay, somebody explain to me why I'm not on this particular pound for pound list and I'm undisputed. There's no controversy to it. None whatsoever. Like when you look at, there's no controversy to this shit. He's undisputed. Tszyu wouldn't know what that means because he's never been in a position like that. But what I can tell you, Tszyu, this fight is going to be harder than you think. If you didn't look at Brian Castaño's method to his madness when he stepped in there the first time, if you didn't see the improvement as far as the way Brian Castaño was broken down systematically and stopped, if you're not taking that in consideration and knowing that it's serious, then good luck to you, because you're gonna have problems. If you believe this is your daddy moment, you go right ahead, go to training camp, and go in there and think that Jamel Charlo is easy work, because he's 2-0 in rematches now. One of those rematches, he was fighting for his title to regain it. The second one, he was just fighting for somebody else's title and to defend the ones he's already had in his possession. And he won both of those. So for you, you would have never stepped into the square with somebody the name of Jamel Charlo. And this is not, at the end of the day, this is not one of my favorite fighters. But real versus real recognizing real. When it comes to men, speaking about this boxing, I have to award him that respect. He still act like a knucklehead and have minimal respect. But I'm just saying, as a boxer, you have to give homage to what he was able to accomplish, period. You haven't been that dude. And that Terrell Goucher fight was not something that we sit up here on the YTC and say, oh man, you know what? Let's do film study. Let's pull up that Tszyu fight and Terrell Goucher. Man, that was a barn burner, wasn't it? Just pull that up. And can somebody pour some eggnog? Bring those 2 cartons of eggnog over here. Yeah, get a little bit more rum, please. Yeah. Bring some cheese and crackers too. Yeah. and grapes. Man, this is gonna be a dandy. We're not saying that here on YTC. I'm just saying, Tszyu, you have a long road. It's good you land the mandatory slot, but Jeff Horn is not the topic of the conversation, bro. Jeff Horn is not the topic of the conversation when it comes to film study with you. Terrell Goucher is not the topic of conversation when it comes to film study for you. But Jamel Charlo will. You have 12 rounds to go in there and prove that you that boxer. And it's not going to be easy for you. It's not going to be easy. Nope, shawty. It's not going to be easy for you. Understand that. You can bring all the Australian people that you want. We just came from over there. I know you felt some type of way. You know what I'm saying? When Cambozo got his goddamn red nose knocked off into the damn stands, his ears was on the canvas. I know you felt some type of way. You want to redeem that shit. I know deep down inside there, Tszyu. I said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna get that black guy. Jamel Charlo. I'm gonna get him. Don't worry about it. Okay, Cambozo. Don't worry about it. Tszyu is 21-0, 15 knockouts. All right. I'm just gonna go to his last 5 fights. Okay, his last 5 fights, he fought Bowen Morgan, stopped him in the first round. He was 21-1. Dennis Hogan, stopped him in the 5th round. He was 28-3. Steve Spark, 12-1, stopped him in the 3rd round. Now, out of those 3 names, is any one of them fighters that you have spoken on, made a thumbnail about, interest you? I don't want you to come up here talking about, I'm hardcore, I study all. You don't, okay? Don't. But I'm going to answer that question for you. It's rhetorical. No, you haven't. Let's move on. Takeshi Inoue. He went 12 rounds with Takeshi Inoue. The scorecards was pretty wide, 120, 107, 119, 08, and 119, 108, and 120, 107. Unanimous decision. And then Terrell Goucher, 22-2-1. Scorecards was Robert Hecko, 114, 113. Bill Lurch, 116, 111. Patrick Morley, 115, 112. A lot closer than Inoue or Inui. So if you take those scorecards in your last fight with your decision win, you have to be concerned about the storm that you're about to walk into with Jamel Charlo. Long as you understand the hell is gonna hit a bit different. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna just be the ice chunks. These motherfuckers, the hell is gonna be coming down on you when you finally find out how much of a chin Jamel Charlo has and how tough he is for fighting on the inside. That's what you love to do. You love to come in and, and try to establish your dominance, right? What you need to do, right, is find an old pager and goddamn send a page to Brian Castano. Hopefully he get back to you in time. All right. You need to go back to the old school when the social media wasn't around. You need to go find a payphone. And you need to have a conversation with Brian Castano on how he assessed Jamel Charlo breaking him down like a kickstand. So you can get a better, more profound respect as to how tough he is and how much of a fight you're going to be in. Once you find out the balls, the hail balls, this is going to be the hailstorm, the motherfuckers going to be on fire. It's going to be on fire. You try to walk in there and fight on the inside, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Like I said, I have to give the man his salute. He walked in the motherfucking fire. That shit was hot as hell. He was taking the heat. You know what I'm saying? His heart rate was different. The temperature was different. Jamel Charlo stayed in that motherfucker and fought Brian Castano. Fought him mano a mano. Fist to fist. punch for punch. And he ended up getting a stoppage, y'all. Tszyu, what the fuck you think gonna happen to you? You gonna come in here and tell us, oh, well, Terrell Goucher, I know it's my British accent. Terrell Goucher, I fought him well. He's a tough fighter. If you had that type of trouble with Goucher, imagine what you're gonna have with Jermell Charlo, big dog. I'm just saying. Helenius is a solid comeback to position Deontay. I like the fight. I like it too. Ruiz beatable. He looked like hot garbage against Areola and worse in the AJ rematch. And see, retro, right? I take that in consideration, bro, because it's a trend going on here. All right. When he left, and then he had somebody else training. What was that supposed to do? Put a Band-Aid on the real problem? The real problem is basically making an incision and finding out, okay, this is the problem right here. Can you give me 15 cc's of confidence? Yeah, another 15 cc's of dedication. No, pump that up to 50 cc's. I see the problem right here. It's caramel and nougat is laced all around, the main cast of his heart. That's where it's at. You know what I'm saying? He's just goddamn indulging in Snicker bars. He don't have the confidence and dedication to get in the gym. So we're gonna inject him with this dedication. We're gonna inject him with some freaking courage. You know what I'm saying? We gotta put that in there for Andy Ruiz. And also, we have to understand that fight with him and Chris Areola, he went to the canvas, bro. He was dropped in that fight. And all of a sudden, this is when he was what wasn't he with his trainer? The same trainer right now, wasn't he? Right? If I'm not mistaken. I could have sworn he was with the same trainer for that fight. And I'm trying to think, like, is he dedicated or isn't he dedicated? He won the fight against Areola, but was he supposed to go through fire and brimstone with Chris Areola? And Chris looked good in that fight. He looked like he was focused, looked like he trained his ass off of that fight. He had a damn good showing. I'm not gonna lie. But Andy Ruiz hit the canvas in that fight. Yeah, I've seen that out there. Devin Haney was the best Australian fighter ever. I laughed like a motherfucker. That shit was hilarious, dog. He said Devin Haney dethroned Tszyu as the greatest fighter in Australian history. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely he did. That shit was hilarious when I first read it. Say Tim Bradley said Zab got up and said, "Don't play with matches." Oh shit, man. See, Timothy Bradley. You have to understand, Timothy Bradley. He may be at that every now and then that flashbang might come out. You know how they used to, and this is true. I remember seeing a guy when I was small who been to the war, and he used to walk up and down the street all the freaking time. It don't matter what day it was. I said, damn, that dude got some damn stamina. And that's when I was on top of my game with track. But anyway, Timothy Bradley with that fight with Provodnikov, there might be some blue, yellow, red, white flashes every now and then, and he black out and he say some dumb shit. For somebody like Timothy, who has also been in position as Zab Judah, he should have just said, you know what? We've known Zab Judah to get hit on the chin, touch the canvas, stand up, and handle business. This time it didn't work out for him. Not anything about matches. Because look, Timothy Bradley, truth be told, he was over there playing with matches with Provodnikov. Provodnikov and him was just throwing Motherfucking fire back and forth, playing with fire. Bop, bop, bop. No defense, no nothing. And Bradley chose to stay in there and continue to goddamn play with flamethrowers. At that time, his adrenaline was so high, he wasn't even thinking logically. And then the man leaves the fight and say he had slurred speech like what, 2 or 3 months after that? That was a tough ass fight. And I remember watching that fight. And I remember watching Provodnikov, period. I say Provodnikov is not going to have a long career, dog. This dude, he's taking all this punishment, but how well is he going to be moving forward to get a big paycheck? Anyway, he gets no love right now. Won't have that problem. They're itching to put him on their bogus ass pound for pound list, complexion protection. I don't know, man. It's not that many brothers that's on the pound for pound list as we know it. We got the regulars, of course, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, and Jamel Charlo, right? Depends on where you're looking. Depends on where you're looking. Devin Haney, you know, that falls in what you're talking about, complexion for the protection. I don't know why Devin Haney's not on there. Let me do my due diligence, right? Because I just need to take a little gander here, frolic around on the path of fingertips, and press send, enter. Let me see if they made any changes. No, they didn't. So, looking at the black fighters that's on the pound for pound ring is Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, and Jamel Charlo. It should be a Devin Haney on this list, no doubt about it. And I've been through this before. So let me check the other one. Boxer Writer Association of America, pound for pound rankings 2022. All right. Let me see what they have. Okay. What year is this? No, that's old. It's old. It's old. It's old. Let me see. Be the. Let's go to SI. What does SI have? Who they have? Terrence Crawford, number 1. 2, Saul Canelo Alvarez. 3, Alexander Usyk. 4, Naoya Inoue. 5, Errol Spence Jr. 6, Tyson Fury. 7, Josh Taylor. 8, Vasyl Lomachenko. 9, Shakur Stevenson. And 10, Dmitry Bivol. Their list is even more fucked up than Ring. Because they don't have Jamel Charlo on this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? They have Tyson Fury on here because he be the guy that no one gave credit for having skills. But when he did beat him, they gave him all the credit like he beat the number 1 pound for pound guy in boxing. So they don't have Devin Haney on here or Jamel Charlo. Okay. That was just SI. Let's see. I'm not going to ESPN. But we already know Jamel Charlo was disgruntled. He was angry about the ESPN when you hear Tim Tszyu talk about it. You know, he's going to be a hater. You're going to be a hater anyway because you're not in that position to be on the pound for pound list, or not anyone not they're not speaking about you being on the pound for pound list. So that's why you feel some type of way about it. I get it. Let me try one more. Let me try this. So look at Wiki, because we know we respect Wiki. The man's pound for pound list. They have bantamweight Inouye, number 1. 2, Usyk. 3, Crawford. 4, Spence. 5, Alvarez. 6, Lomachenko. And if you notice, he's one of the only ones in the top 10 pound for pound with no fucking belt. Dmitry Bivol. Bivol is 7. 8, Josh Taylor. 9, Jamel Charlo. And 10, Artur Beterbiev. So somehow, some way, even Wiki, which is like, when you want to talk about pettiness, you know what I'm saying? They don't even have. This had to be an update. They don't even have Devin Haney on here at all, bro. Let's go further down from Artur Beterbiev. Roman Gonzalez, Tyson Fury, Gervonta Davis, Gennady Golovkin, Shakur Stevenson, Deontay Wilder, and last is Devin Haney. Yes. Whew. This is the same place that has Katie Taylor in front of Carissa Shields. I get it. I get it. Charlo beats Tszyu, and Talon Inferno could stop both easily if he's on his A game, because game gives him a decision. I disagree entirely, Mitch, that you believe that the Towering Inferno stops if he's on his A game. When was he on his A game? He was on his A game a lot of those fights. You know what I'm saying? He went the distance with Jamonte Clark, and Jamonte Clark really doesn't have the punching power of Jamel Charlo. And then you take a guy like Erickson Lubin. Yes, he's been stopped once before stepping in the ring. All right, we know that. But he comes in there, rise to the occasion, gets off the canvas, fights on. Yes, he was taking punishment, but he ended up dropping Sebastian Vondour. Now, judging from his performance, and if he was in there with Jamel Charlo, we don't know what could have happened. He might have been stopped earlier by Jamel Charlo. But I can say this: I can attest to Jamel Charlo having more punching power than Sebastian Vondour. In my opinion, he's a better boxer. And of course, there's going to be some areas where Vondour excels. But, I'm not going to sit up here and say he'll weight bully or none of that. He's just tall, and he's up here making weight at 154. But with that Skeletor frame that he have, his Skeletor frame, when he gets broken down to the body with the body shots Jamel is hitting him with, and then all of a sudden he decides to go up top, I don't think Vondour is going to be in a haste to get off the canvas so quickly if Jamel touch him like that. I don't think he is. Because pretty much how I don't like using the word expose, I do believe a layer was peeled back and we was able to see some of the weakness that Sebastian Vondour had for being in a war. Imagine him being in a war with Jamel Charlo, who just did what he was able to do in 2 fights with Brian Castano. I think Jamel Charlo stops Sebastian Vondour. He stops him. Sebastian, he's very confident in himself. He has mad confidence, man. This was a guy who recently was saying, okay, I'll drop down to 47 to fight Errol Spence. That would be an entertaining fight, to say the least, just in conversation. Because for him to drop, I don't want to see that fight, because it'll take me back to a place where I will have to say, hey, we need EMT up here. This guy need an IV. This is skin on bones. What the fuck are we watching? Is this a horror show? What the hell? It's not. It wouldn't be easier than he think to come from 54 to 47 and face somebody like Spence. But yet and still, at 54, Jermell Charlo has proven he got the power. He can box and he can go in war and return home. I think Fundora is just so anxious. He has one of the biggest egos in boxing, and he believes he can go in there. He has some fans, obviously. Mitch seems like he's a fan of the Talon Inferno. You know what I'm saying? He believes that he can go in there and get it done. You know what I'm saying? Ruiz is definitely beatable. He did look like hot garbage before he settled in versus Chris Arreola. But after that, he was tagging Arreola with the hand speed. We never can doubt that Andy Ruiz couldn't box. He showed that in the first fight with Joshua. He showed it in the fight with Joseph Parker. He showed that he can box against Chris Arreola. But what we wanted him to show was, can he be consistent with all the money that he made to show us that he's pretty much left that behind and he's entirely zoomed in. Not just any type of zoomed in. He's zoomed in to the zone. And he's willing to stay in that zone wherever it takes to continue to keep his weight down and continue to take the sport serious and be a threat to stepping back in there for the heavyweight titles. Is he that dude? These lists be all over the place like dog shit. Yeah, man, it does. They are. It's a lot of those lists that don't have dev. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. You know, as dirty as the sport is, who cares if you mad at Bill? You know what I'm saying? Look what they was able to do. They went in there with a Little House on the Prairie contract. You know what I'm saying? And they motherfucking signed this shit just to get through the door and the opportunity. Now he beat the dude so bad that we're not even sure that the rematch is going to happen at the end of the year, because it's people up here that don't want to spend money to see what Cambozo comes in there with next. Cambozo's going to come in there with some blown up balloons and shit. They're going to say, come on, Cambozo, you know you can't do, but it's a part of my act. Just let me have like 3 or 4 balloons. You know, he won't fill them. I'm just going to put them around, you know, a little ways up near my jaw in case you hit me with some of those punches. Just let me have it. Cambo's gonna come in there with some blown up balloons and shit. He's gonna be trying to add extra attire to the boxing match. We know he's gonna come out with a jab. We know he's gonna, you know, he got the speed. The balloons, to be honest, there's no way that they can affect him. Okay, if he want to wear the balloons like me, cool. But I'm in Australia. He's in my backyard. I call the rules. Okay. I talked to Jeff Horn. He says it's a good idea. I talked to Tszyu. He says it's a good idea. So let me wear the fucking balloons, okay? I said if Charlo is on his A game, he stops both Tszyu and Inferno. My fault. Stand corrected. And Tszyu. Charlo on his B or C game wins the decision in both those. Yeah, I do believe Jermell Charlo. I miss Red. It is Tech's game, you know. So I do believe that Charlo can stop Tszyu because he has the style for it. Tszyu coming forward on Jermell Charlo, good luck with that. You want to stand in front of him like you did Goucher and think you're proving and you earning a badge, a medal of honor, you go right ahead. I want to see how that turns out for you. Real talk. I want to see there, Zoo. I do. I want to see how that turns out for you. Real talk. I just want to see if you're that guy. Because I'm going to remind you of something. Because, I study boxing every now and then, maybe about, 2 minutes a day. Dad, 2 losses with stoppages, dog. It's in your DNA. It's in your DNA to get stopped, bro. All your dad losses with stoppages there, Tim. You need to understand that. It's in your DNA, bro. Your dad, 2 losses, it was both stoppages. So therefore, I have to remind you that you're not unstoppable. You have defeat in your blood. All right, you have defeat in your blood. Just be patient. Just be patient. You have defeat in your blood. It's no knock on you. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, big dog. Your dad had 2 stoppages. It happened to be his only 2 losses. Now you might say that's bragging rights for him only have 2 stoppages with 31 victories and 25 knockouts. I know it was a point in time where you see your pops get in the ring with the ponytail. I say, shit, there go Costa. Oh shit, there go Costa. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what he got now. I mean, he did what he had to do, bro. But remember, he has 2 losses, both of them were stoppages. So Jamel Charlo might be Vince Phillips. I'm just saying. Jamel Charlo might be Vince Phillips. I'm just telling you. I used to follow Vince back in the day. Dude had mad fights. I used to follow him back in the day, man. Dude been in there with more top tier names than your pops. I'm telling you. He was in there with more top names than your pops, bro. I'm saying the same thing about Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo may definitely be Phillips. Just keep that in your brain housing and your thought process there, Tszyu. Don't worry about it. Don't take it to heart. It ain't personal. I'm just reminding you of the history, your lineage. You know what I'm saying? I'm just reminding you, Jamel Charlo might just be Phillips. He might hand you that first L, and it might indeed be a knockout. Remember, I told you that. Ruiz versus Ortiz is a good matchup. Both look bad early in their last fights. Ortiz KO'd Martin after being dropped twice. Ruiz won unanimous versus Areola after being dropped and hurt. Yeah, unfortunately, we shouldn't have to compare fighters coming off the canvas to see how good they're going to be against one another. I'm going for goddamn King Kong. In my opinion, King Kong didn't quit. Ruiz quit on his people. He said, you know what? I'm going to blame it on the money and the alcohol. That's what I'm going to blame it on. I don't have the discipline. I did something that's never been done before, and I just wasn't ready for it. When the check cleared, I went in here and had a fiesta with my parents. I'm not my parents, my people, everybody. I bought everybody's shit. I just lost it. So when they told me I had a rematch, I knew it. But I'm in the heavyweight division, baby. I wasn't worried about the weight because I'm in the heavyweight division. I saw the weight coming back on. But man, that food was so good. And the drink, the margaritas, all that shit just tasted so delicious. Me gusto la comida. Si, amigo. That shit was tasty. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it. I can't go off Andy Ruiz, man. Cause pretty much he quit on himself to come back into the rematch with Anthony Joshua and not put out. Dude was super duper Moby. Fortuna going to the to shock the world. J Ocho, I hope you're right, bro. Because Javier Fortuna, I seen him quit too against, Adrian Granados. I don't know, man. I'm curious to see if Javier can put Ryan Garcia in a predicament there, J Ocho. I want to see if he can put him in a situation that he ain't been in his young career. I want to see Ryan Garcia be bossed around like Javier Fortuna was trying to do Robert Easter. I want to see him fight on the inside. I want to see him make it dirty. That's what I want to see. I want to see that type of Javier Fortuna. I want to see the fight between him and Robert Easter. I want to see him give Ryan Garcia that bully method and see how he handles it. I don't want to see no dive, shawty. I don't want to see no Michael Phelps swimming in the pool. I don't want to see it unless you're going to come in first there, Javier. I don't want to see you just backstroking, breaststroking, freestyling. No, I want you to stay, get down to business, and give us a hell of a fight. Whether it's shocking the world, I don't know, Jay Ocha, because Ryan Garcia doesn't have that stardom yet, where people are placing him in the idolatry of boxing. He's not there yet. I mean, who does he have on his resume last? Emmanuel Tago? Stop it. Stop it. No, he was on his face against Luke Campbell. I want Javier to go in there and perform well, but I'm not really going for anybody in this fight. I'm just going to watch it play out. I don't like Ryan Garcia like that just yet, even though people are jumping on his bandwagon after he lied. Like, boxing has some of the most dysfunction, unstable fans there is, because a fighter can sit up here and blatantly lie to you, and then you turn back around, just give it several months to pass by, and have a couple of mediocre fights, and people jump back on the bandwagon. Ryan, oh, he defeated Taco. Oh man, he's a threat, dog. Man, he has that power. He has the power to knock out any of the top guys. Man, stop it, dog. This dude ran through damn near the whole top four and said he was going to fight him in an aborted mission. Who holds more weight at this point? Small Trunks Martin or Chris Arreola? I'll say Chris Arreola. Like, once again, I always go back to Charles Martin. I've seen him in person several times already. I remember him taking a 7 to 8 million dive against Anthony Joshua in 2. I always remember that shit when fighters quit. You know what I'm saying? I always remember that about him. I remember about Charles Martin. I just know Chris Arreola, it's been certain pockets of his career that he can be accused of not being entirely focused 100%. Ruiz was with Reynoso versus Arreola. Okay. But I was talking about who he left when, let me see, when he won the belts against Anthony Joshua, he left Manny Robles, didn't he? Or he left his team and went to Manny Robles, right? He left his pops and went to Manny Robles, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, please. Garcia not going to like them low blows. Yeah, I hope he does give him some low blows to wake him up, just like freaking crossface Rolly. You know what I'm saying? Rolly the crossface Wrangler. Give him a couple of crossfaces in there. You know, touch that belt line a little bit. Have him thinking in there. Garcia ain't shit, but I don't trust Fortuna. What's going on, Flex in the building? Salute to you. Yeah, he left Manny Robles after. So yeah, he switched from Manny Robles. I don't know if it was Manny Robles. Was it Manny Robles? He left Manny Robles and he went. You know, when he picked up the titles, he didn't wait for the rematch. He left him when he won the titles. So there had to be something else going on with that. He beat Joshua and he left. You know? And now, him being with Reynoso, man, I see videos out there of him and his weight. He looked good with his weight down. I mean, I'm not saying the monetary well might be dry. I'm not saying he's up there with a bucket and he keep dropping that motherfucker. Okay, I need some more cash. Okay. That shit hit bottom. He bring it up. Ain't nothing in it. He go in there and get his flashlight, his tack. Look, he got a tack light. He shine that motherfucker in there. Damn. I know I see something in there. Shit. I see that's $1 right there. There go $5. Damn, they go another $10 right there. Fuck, where all of my money go? Shit. Is somebody else been going to this well besides me? Look, it's old Snicker bars down there. I'm not saying. I mean, is he still like that though? Is Andy Ruiz is his zero still like that? Or is he riding off a different type of motivation? You know what I'm saying? He still got the zeros where they supposed to be. He's just rededicated himself and he's taking it serious. And that's where we at with it. Is he that dude? I don't know, man. You're talking about a guy who just lost it and just gave it away. If he would have defended those titles, he would have got another big paycheck. If he would have successfully defended them titles against Anthony Joshua, he would have went on for another big paycheck, dog. You know, him and Deontay Wilder possibly would have scrapped for the undisputed titles. Crazy the amount of opportunities Deontay Wilder would have had if it worked out in his favor. With Anthony Joshua back in the day, and then with Andy Ruiz, oh, that shit would have been wild, man. I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. Thanks for the info, man. Manny said they fired him over text message. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They did say that. Manny did say that. They fired him over text message. That's just doggy dog. You know what I'm saying? That's just doggy dog right there. The man got you to the show. He picked up the straps. And behind the scenes, something wasn't right. They fired him and say, you know what, it's time to leave and level up and get somebody else. And you won the titles. Ooh. It might have been the percentage that he was getting. I don't know. He was with Manny for the second AJ fight. Remember, people were trying to blame Robles for not controlling his fighter. I could have sworn he got up out of there. Was he with Robles for the second one? I'm not saying I gotta double check, bro. Okay, Ruiz sent his father to fire him instead of doing it himself. Um, Let me see. The Rubik. I could have sworn. You're right. I just had, reading all these articles, I just had to verify that. But you're right though, because he was placing the blame on himself, but he was, you know, Robles said he wasn't showing up to training and all this other shit. And now it's coming back to the point where he did weigh in like 283. He was up there. To be so short, he weighed in, and then it was like he was taking all the liability. But yeah, he's told his pops, which they were saying he had influence over Andy Ruiz to lead Robles. And I think Andy Ruiz has been on record as saying that he should have left him early. He should have fired him earlier. But come to find out, when he did win the titles, he wasn't showing up to the gym. But I think it was more underlining issues that was active at the time, as to why he wasn't showing up at the gym, and he was putting on all that weight. But yeah, you was right. I kind of got my wires switched on that. Appreciate the info there, Mitch. We's on camera smashing tacos and then eating a slice of pizza. A stranger handed him a few weeks before the rematch. That's when I started having doubts. Yeah, man, he looked bad, dog. Even the heat from the salty sand couldn't burn off all the weight he had put on. It wasn't gonna happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? But in boxing, y'all, trainers get treated that way all the time. They'll be with a fighter and they say he's having success, and he's be with a certain trainer rather. And then all of a sudden that trainer's no longer with the fighter, and they're with somebody else. Because a lot of these trainers don't have contractual binding paperwork on these fighters. A lot of them don't. Now, a manager may, but not a trainer. A manager may have paperwork. You know what I'm saying? A manager may, but not so much a trainer. What's going on, Dion? What's good? Yeah, that's the word there, Dion. Robert Helenius. An article was put out. Robert Helenius. I put the link. You know what I'm saying? I put the link out there in the chat in case y'all want to look it up and read it for yourselves. But I'm not going to say, well, my sources told me, but I am going to say my source is the link right there. You know what I'm saying? This is what's out there. And I'm just going off. Boxing News 24/7 is pretty credible. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty credible. Let's move on from this though. I pretty much beat this in the head enough. But let's talk about what was the news I heard about Conor Ben. Conor Ben is dead set on fighting Keith Thurman next. He doesn't want Eubanks. And that's a good move. That's a good move not to want Eubanks. If you're gonna fight Keith Thurman, I think there'll be a solid scrap. Keith Thurman coming off a decision win over Mario Barrios, a former junior welterweight world champion, prior to moving up. So you know how that goes, man. Conor Ben is on a slight tear right now with the competition he's been facing. Very entertaining fighter. I like his charisma. You know what I'm saying? I like his flash in general. And then he has that lineage, from his pops. They seem to have mad respect for one another. It's boxing at the end of the day. So he is representing his father, just like Rothman Jr. is representing his father. So we're gonna look forward to that fight. And my last topic is going to be um Hakeem Rothman Jr. Now he has said plenty of times on camera that he got mad respect on what his dad says about him. They asked him during a media scrum today, how did he feel about his pop saying he underperforming all of his fights, and he looked at it like he never had the want for anything. He was truthful. I don't know the guy like that. He said, I never had the want for anything. All them fights my dad had allowed me to be able to go to private school. I never had the want for anything in my life. So pretty much he was telling us, the listeners, was saying that his hunger wasn't there because he just didn't come from the bottom. Now we at the top of mentality. He said, shit, I've been at the top, just not in a competitive state. I've been at the top because Pops pretty much provided for us, and I never had to want for anything. I don't know what it's like to be, in the struggle. I don't know what it's like to be at the bottom. That's what he was saying. Then that transferred me over to say, okay, I don't want to be negative about this situation, but are you really going to have a different type of motivation to step in there with a non-boxer like Jake Paul? Because now you have told the world that you never had to want for anything. So when it comes down that you have to dig deep, are you that good to the point where you feel comfortable with being a mediocre content creator like Jake Paul, but yet you just don't have enough dedication to contend with the top the higher echelon of the heavyweight division? Because if that's the case, then you're good. If you feel that you're good enough to go in there and shine against Jake Paul and represent your family in the best light possible, cool. I'm cool with that. But if you're just talking and you're not totally dedicated to dropping those pounds because you have a lot of weight to take off, and to come in there and meet that 209, 210 limit, or you can't go past 210. You know what I'm saying? You have to meet the 190 limit or something like that. I don't know what the entire contractual stipulations are, but I just want to know, since you just admitted, and it's good that you was being genuine. You just admitted you never had to want for anything, and also you put it out there that you getting paid the least of all his opponents. So with that said, what is the hunger for this fight? I'm just trying to find any type of information that I can catalog and say this is why Rothman Jr. is hungry to go in there and defeat Jake Paul. It just can't be the sparring sessions. Like you said, you went in there and sparred the guy and you was handicapped. You was like using one hand. He didn't want you to fight southpaw. All of that shit, you was fighting, using a sparring in a handicap type of training session. So if you're getting paid the least of all his opponents, I would ask you the question, why? Why? With the Rothman name. No one has that Rothman name on his resume. So why would you be getting paid the least? And since you are getting paid the least, do you even care to go blood, sweat, and tears in your training to come in there better than Jake Paul, to go in there and make a statement, to dog him? Because you represent boxers now. You're a 12-1 boxer. You're a legitimate, certified, official, validated boxer. Your pops say you have underperformed in all of your fights. Now that you're going in there against a rising content creator / boxer, who's pushing you to the next level? Seriously, that's just my big question. I just want to know, bro. Like, I want you to go in there and represent the boxers well. I really do, because your dad has respect in these streets, these boxing streets. I just want Junior to go in there and do superb. I want it to be a wash. I want him to go in there and dominate, dog. I hope he does that too. I don't care about seeing Thurman fight again, but maybe I'm wrong. I see it just because it's Conor Ben and Keith Thurman. He has that mouthpiece to promote. You know what I'm saying? I'm still looking for one time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe one time can give us flashes in this fight with Conor Ben. I want to see it. Yeah, I agree, Andrew. He said Junior looked huge in that picture posted on IG, and Jake looked shook. Look, bro, that dude looked big, man. And you know the security dude that's back there looked like somebody Photoshop. No, dude really has a small little head, man. He's a big dude with a huge frame and a small ass peanut head. That wasn't Photoshop. I've seen it before. But you're right, man. I'm just curious to know if he's going to lose all the weight, because he already specified that there's a penalty. There's a penalty for him with every 4 ounces or whatever he's over. Man, that's a penalty, bro. He kept it real. I can respect that. Some people lie and say they from the mud. Well, he told you I went to private school, so he might have been stepping out to a car that was awaiting, and he never really had to experience the rain. He was stepping into a luxury car and going to private school and getting let off, under the canopy. You know what I'm saying? Good to have you back to school, Hassan Rothman Jr. How's your dad doing? He's doing great. Great fight he had. Come on, let's escort you to the ring. Do you need anything? To the room. Do you need anything before you go? Do you want some hot cinnamon buns, bagel, cream cheese, some hot cocoa, anything? That dude had it good, man. Shout out to the Rothman. I ain't mad at you, shawty. I am not mad at him keeping it a thou wow. I ain't mad at you, bro. This can launch his career. He can make a lot of noise if he punishes Jake. He can, Andrew. This can launch his career off a content creator / boxer. For him to potentially, I'm telling you, potentially either step back in there for a rematch, or I don't know. The only way I can say it can launch his career is his notoriety in the sport. That's it. Like, really, the boxers are gonna say you did what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Pop Woodard, Javon Pop Woodard. When I talk to him, he say, "Hey, that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't get excited on what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to do that shit. I'm not overly excited on what I'm supposed to do." So that's the way I look at it, man. Like his peers are gonna say, "Hey, Junior, you supposed to do that shit." But good looking, bro. Good looking, man. I'm glad you went in there and did what you're supposed to do, handle business, man. You represented the sport well, shawty. Get that fake ass fraud. You know how people talk. Get that dude out of here trying to be us. I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's a lot of things. I've been around the sport for a while. It's a lot of things I look at and I just say, the sport of boxing has a lot of individuals that want to make the most money ever in life because they came from such rough beginnings. And that's what drives them. But not so much Rothman Jr. He told you, he never had to want for anything, shawty. Anything. Anything. I don't know if y'all seen the video of him talking to Rampage Jackson, But Rampage Jackson, shout out to Rampage, man. He's an odd guy, bro. I love when he was winning, but he's an odd guy. If you look at most of his shit, right, when it comes to a black athlete, with Rampage, he's giving them some type of that bully energy that he loved doing. Now, I'm not saying he can't fight. Rampage is that dude. I like Rampage, man. I love when he knocked out Chuck Liddell. I love when he went in there with Rashad Evans. Man, he had some fights against Wanderlei Silva. Jeez. Ricardo Arona, when he picked him up Ricardo Arona picked him up and goddamn slammed his ass. He had him in a triangle. Rampage picked him up. That shit is legendary. But, he was on record as saying the MMA guys don't do this, man. They sorry, they suck. Line them up. He'll knock them down. I think he mentioned my man Michael Seals, man. He say, you can't even handle Michael Seals in a triad combat. Michael Seals is light heavy cruiser, type of fighter. You know what I'm saying? So let's see how that play out. See if he can go ahead and get that win, and then Triller picks him up. He has a fight in Triller against a notable name. I know Anderson Silva. He's still riding high off his win. You know what I'm saying? He's still riding high off his win. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be more so, if he beats Jake Paul, it's going to be more so of a Triller or a triad combat type of fight. Something to that nature. He can go in there and fight another boxer or MMA guy. Yeah, you still got Anderson Silva out there. Yes, sir. Big dog on deck. What's good with it? Man, that's all I got today, man. I would get into all the rehydration. I already talked about that. I'll save it for another day. But always remember, y'all, whatever you know, all right, remember that I told you that the BronzeBomber is on his way back to the square this year. I put the picture up there of a picture that was taken over there in Alabama when Robert Helenius, and Deontay got that work. Yeah, Bomb Squad is back in effect. It's still a hot grease summer. You know what I'm saying? Remember that. It's still a hot grease summer. And I say that another time, different day. Until then, y'all turn up and tune in the world.